Good morning. It's 5:43 in the morning. I'm pretty nauseous. I feel like I could throw up. I sat on the toilet for 15 minutes. And now I'm just trying to let this stomach cramp settle down so that I don't throw up. This is the most stressful time in my life. Because because I'm not working and I am just taking care of myself, and yeah, I still wake up with this every morning, and if I was gonna have to be at work in a few hours, well, I might be able to get there by 9:15 like I was, but there's also a chance that I will be battling my nausea up until that point. The anxiety of the day adds to the nausea for me as well. So by the time I'm there at work, I'm often already worn out from trying not to vomit. And I said to the crisis counselor that I called yesterday, 98% of the time, I'm staying fairly calm about not knowing how my work is going to work, not knowing how my chronic illness is going to affect that, and also not knowing who I'm going to be living with a few months later, because unless I can prove to my partner that I'm not breaking things when I melt down, and I'm not talking about wanting to be dead when I melt down. Unless I can prove to my partner that I'm over those habits, she wants to move. She doesn't want to live with me anymore, and it's just very difficult to imagine my future, because I don't have a home, I don't have family or friends that I can stay with if I'm not doing well, or just at all. So it's all up to me, sink or swim. And I'm trying. I've been reaching out to the local resources and all that, but there's only so much that you can do at a time. You just have to wait. But it's very difficult, and 98% of the time I'm okay, but that 2% of the time I get really, really scared, this is the best home that I've ever had, and it will be traumatic to leave it behind if that's what happens. Not even considering the fact that I don't know where I will go. So, I know that it's my own actions that caused this, but when you have a meltdown, it's a little bit out of your control. What is more feasibly in my control is to stop myself, stop the situation before I have a meltdown. And I'm working on that. Yesterday, I basically successfully achieved that by calling the crisis line. I got really hungry and my blood sugar was spiraling and I felt very dysregulated and all my sensory stuff was kicking up. My clothing felt really uncomfortable and everything was too loud and noisy. And I couldn't relax and I felt like I was going to melt down. But I didn't. I almost did, but I had some crisis people come over and they were very nice and I felt good talking to them, and they gave me a packet of resources to look through in terms of finding free therapy and maybe even finding rental assistance. So come Monday, I'm going to make some more phone calls. Something the facilitator of the autism group said is that being aware of other people's struggles that are similar to yours really helps, and it does. And it's weird because I don't want anyone else to suffer, but going to that group and hearing from someone who has been through similar things as me and continues to deal with similar things, it did feel really helpful because just in a vacuum, I feel like I'm a failure. I feel like I should be able to pick up the pieces of my life and just live a normal life. And I am trying, but it's looking pretty weird in the middle stage here. Yeah. I was practicing this technique this morning on the toilet when I was feeling nauseous about calming my brain down with positive, soothing conversation. I mentioned it before, but I found it from a YouTube doctor named Dr. Brad Fanistill. When you have chronic symptoms that don't respond to medical interventions like anxiety and stomach aches, you realize that your brain is sending you signals to stay healthy, to stay safe. And you appreciate your brain and you comfort your brain for doing its best, even though it doesn't really know that it's causing you more distress. I'm I'm just trying to hold out hopes that somehow, at the end of all this, I will have a peer counseling certification and a telehealth job that allows me to stay home. So that I can be close to my bathroom and my kitchen. Something about going out of my home to work makes me very anxious. Being around people and all that noise and activity puts me in a higher state of anxiety. And so when I do go to work out of the home, I often find that it's almost impossible to eat lunch, even though I'm usually suffering from hunger. I'm sorry, I'm not saying a whole lot. I'm just trying to whew. I'm just trying to keep my stomach cool. I tend to struggle with being realistic sometimes, and will have hopes that are totally impractical because they help me cope. And right now, I'm having one, which is that my YouTube videos could serve as evidence potentially for an employer or something who doesn't believe that I have these issues, but that's not true. It would never work like that. And in this world, the only thing that would guarantee me accommodations is a doctor's note and HR. And even then, I've heard people saying that sometimes their employers will find reasons to fire them once they've revealed that they are autistic. Yeah. I saw a Redditor on the autism subreddit posting about how they think that their home country of Australia is uniquely friendly to autistic people because the way their culture is allows for more solitude and allows for more live and let live attitude and allows for more straightforward communication, and their healthcare is better. But it's really, really hot over there in the summer. I don't know if it's hotter than the US overall, but it's hotter than the part of the US I live in. Anyway, I couldn't move anywhere if I wanted to unless a miracle happened. it's interesting because in my early to mid 20s, I felt a lot more. Well, I was really struggling with my teaching job. Um, I was burnt out and I didn't understand what was happening or how to fix it. And then I became really spiritual and got really enthused about synchronicities and what I believed were signs about my future working out for the best, for the better. That actually directed me to move up here from California, where I used to live, to Washington State. And I felt like I was supported by the magic of the universe, and I wasn't really worried about the practical details because I just had so much faith that things would work themselves out because it was meant to be. And one way or the other, they did. It was an exciting time that quickly, I realized life wasn't all the magic that I thought it was going to be. Just because I moved doesn't mean it's not hard anymore. I actually moved up here because I had a crush on an old college friend, and I, for some reason, had it in my head that we were like twin flames, which is a weird spiritual term that is related to synchronicities. Actually, people often say that they are led to their twin flames through a series of synchronicities. And I was so excited and convinced about it that I would say that to her sometimes, and she didn't like it, which is totally understandable. It's, as the youth would say, cringe. I realize how cringe that is now, and even then, but I was so like almost manic. And so we dated for a little bit, and then she broke up with me, and then life got a lot more real, and I was trying to find work because the job I moved up for wasn't quite ready for me yet, and the people that I moved in with were cool at first, but they quickly, one of them just started yelling at me all the time, and I couldn't defend myself because then they would get really mad, and so I just started hiding from them and feeling trapped and angry that my friends were making me feel paranoid and unsafe, and it was the most difficult time of my life up to that point. And I didn't know how I was going to fix it, and now I'm in a similar situation. It's quite different, but it is similar. And I also sometimes have the vaguely manic delusions that things are going to work out great. And they might, but it's delusional to be convinced of that. And truth be told, I just really don't know what's going to happen. I'm just trying to utilize the resources that I have so that something will eventually work. So interesting. My stomach is still in a weird state. It sort of feels like there's cramp ghosts swimming around in my stomach, if that makes sense. I have this visual of like the cramp sensations just like swirling around and disappearing and then reappearing, and yeah, when I was working, sometime around December, January, I started to deal with this problem by getting up out of bed once my nausea woke me up and making myself a hot cup of lemon water and meditating and listening to positive affirmational content and journaling and doing stretches and all that kind of stuff to be well. And I'm not saying that it didn't help at all, but by 7 o'clock, I'd be so exhausted that I would be in meltdown territory, and sometimes I would melt down because I'd still have 2 hours until I'd have to be at work, and then I'd have to be all, chipper and present for 6 hours. And yeah, it's I don't want to say it's not fair, because nothing's fair, but it's a lot for me to put up the fight, to put up the effort for hours, and then go to work. Maybe if I was neurotypical, I wouldn't melt down, but then also, I suspect I wouldn't have these stomach issues if I was neurotypical. Because my understanding is the majority of autistic folks have some kind of digestive issue. Yeah, so it's Saturday now, and I have to wait until Monday until I can try to get any more resources. So I'm just going to try to relax and not freak out. My partner did say, she said a couple things. One is that she would never let me be homeless, and the other is that she needs me to save up for first and last month's rent somewhere else. And because I only earned $339 this month, which is, I normally earn at least $1,700 when I'm not receiving medical leave pay, and I'm not, that's what I would receive, but I'm not receiving medical leave pay, and the paycheck I just got was from the period of my work that wasn't covered by the medical leave, I guess. And so my partner's covering the rent this month. That means I get to keep the small amount of money that I made, but I need to figure out how to make more. If you're not spiritual, it might be weird to you that somebody like me will cope with ideas of the afterlife or spirit helping me fix my life in these magic ways, but I didn't used to believe this stuff, it really feels like my brain broke at a certain point, and it just couldn't see a reasonable path forward anymore unless it was thinking in these kinds of metaphorical ways, these sort of magical ways. But you have to understand how enticing it is when most of your daily living is difficult or painful. The idea that when your body dies, your consciousness will continue in a state of pure love and bliss. That just sounds awesome. Growing up, I always thought that it was so obviously just humanity's way of coping with a difficult life. And it's ironic because I felt that way all the way up until life got so difficult that I started coping that way. But that's what it is like. Okay, I hope you're having a good day wherever you are, whenever you see this. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.